We have our treatment this morning, and then we will have our reading, and then we'll have some announcements, some wonderful music from Ashira and Yoichi, our guest artist this morning, and a wonderful lesson from yours truly. So let's start out with our treatment. So please help me welcome Fanny Munlin, our wonderful practitioner. Fanny?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's take a deep breath in and go to that place where Spirit resides in each one of us. Recognizing that there is but one power, one present, one God, one source of all life. And we are one with this power and presence. And we move forward this day knowing and accepting the divine Spirit of God that resides within each one of us. And as we move forward, we find that we meet with this cooperative spirit of life. We move forward knowing and accepting that God is always guiding, directing, supporting, and maintaining us in all that we do, think, or say. We are divinely guided by an omnipotent, omnipresent, omni-action force of love and peace and joy. And we move forward through this year and through this day knowing that all things are working together for good in each one's life because we are a divine inspiration. We were brought forth by this power that is all-knowing, all power. We were brought forth to express the love of God, the presence of God in form in this world. We are divine ideas of God expressed as an individual representation of the Spirit of life. And as we let go of fear and doubt and confusion, we realize that the power is in the Word. And we are cognizant of the words that we speak about ourselves and about others, for we know that the Word has power, and the power for good returns to us multiplied abundantly. We speak kindly of ourselves and we speak kindly of others, for we are a divine idea in the mind of God, and we are the essence of Spirit. And we move forward knowing and accepting this realization, this power, this presence within. And we use it constructively. We use it to build up not only ourselves, but to build up others, to see the good in the world, to see the good in each one. We recognize the Spirit of God in everyone, because the Spirit of God in me is the Spirit of God in every person that I see. And I recognize that Spirit, for it is the God Spirit in all of us. And recognizing that Spirit moves us through life easily, effortlessly. We are divinely guided by the Spirit of God. We are divinely supported in all our ways by this unconditional loving principle of life. And we let go and let the power of God guide, direct, support, maintain, and sustain us. And we move through every situation, health-wise, easily, effortlessly. Healing comes forth out of the love of God. Healing of physical healing, mental, financial healing come forth by the love of God in us, by us, using that power constructively. We praise and thanksgiving for the love of God, with praise and joy for this internal power and presence, knowing that we are one with God. We are eternally grateful. We let go and let God, knowing and accepting our oneness. With the divine Spirit of God, with the thanksgiving of God, I release this treatment into the law of mind and action, who has accepted and acted upon it once, and so it is.
And so it is. And that is the way it is. Thank you, Fanny Munlin. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And now we have Barbara Munlin, our licensed practitioner, who is going to do our reading for us this morning. Barbara?
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to read from 365, Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, and it's titled, I Give Form to the Invisible. Let your light so shine before men that they shall see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Life at the center of my being is a silent partner. Physical facts, forms, or conditions are no obstruction to this power. It flows through them and takes a new form in them. It remolds them. That which can remake, that which molds can remold. That which creates can recreate. Remember, what you see comes from what you do not see. The visible is the invisible made manifest. It is the invisible caught in temporary form. Every time you think, you are giving form to this invisible power. The question arises whether any limit can be placed upon the possibility of the conscious use of spiritual power. Theoretically, it would seem impossible to place such a limit. The only limitation would be that which proceeds from lack of belief or understanding. The Spirit itself must be ever present with us. If we could strip our minds of fear, superstition, and all sense of separation from this divine presence, approaching it quite simply and directly, we would probably be surprised at the results that would follow. In using spiritual law, the one having the greatest faith obtains the best results. I am surrounded by a spiritual presence that responds to my word. Today I take charge of my thinking, knowing the divine appears to each only as a measure of his own imagination. I enlarge the concept I present to it for fulfillment. I wait calmly and expectantly for new and greater experiences to come.
Thank you for that beautiful reading. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And now we're going to have our announcements. So we have a wonderful workshop going on today at 12:30. Barbara and Fanny, our licensed practitioners, are teaching this. It's called The Power of Your Word. It's about treatment. Some of you who have been in that class are already reaping the benefits from it. So you may want to take the class again today. It's the final class, and I'm sure that you will really get a lot from it. So it's right after the service around 12:30. We have lots of food back there as usual, so enjoy that. And that's about it. The summertime, it's kind of like an easy kind of time. We will be incorporating new ideas and new things that everyone has suggested as part of the community service that we did. We're going to start next week having our monthly meditation. So we'll be doing that before the service every month. So if any of you have any ideas, I just want to bring this up in front of everyone. If any of you have any ideas about doing a meditation, for me personally, I can do them, but I'd like to share that with not only the practitioners, but there may be some of you in the audience who have some kind of experience with that or know someone. So if you do, bring it to my attention and we will put you on the calendar for a future meditation. Okay? So having said all that, it's now time to wish everyone a happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Ashira. We'll announce next time and we'll have a party. Okay? Okay, and now it is time for some serious music from Ashira and Yoichi. Please help me welcome them.
Good morning, everyone. All right, last month we celebrated the mother principle and energy, in celebration of the masculine principle and energy. I chose these songs today. So I invite you to take it in, just as usual, and you may close your eyes if it moves you to do so, just to take in the music.
right? Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. That was really so beautiful. Oshira and Yoichi. Give them another round of applause. So, we're talking about spiritual healing, and the title of my talk this morning is Evolution as a Spiritual Idea. And you know, as I was coming in here this morning, I thought I would love to wrap this place up and bring it home with me. You ever think that way? You know, when we come here in the morning, I just have to share a little bit before I start the lesson. It's just such a pleasure to be here. You know, it feels good in here. There's good energy. I hear the music system a little. Thank you, Yoichi. I ask you, each and every one of you for taking your time and being here with us and creating this wonderful, loving, harmonious community. I just had to say that out loud. So thank you. And thank you all for all that you do. So the lesson this morning is really a very interesting one, I think, and it's a very practical one. It's spiritual and practical, which I think is a thing. We are talking about the spiritual idea of evolution. And evolution means that when we are evolving, we are making changes and we are growing. You know, I married someone about a year ago in Central Park, and they were from California, and they sent me all this information a couple weeks after they got married. It was a lovely wedding. And they were saying, what do you think about a revolution? And it was so interesting that I sent them back something that said, evolution, not revolution. And that's really what I'm here to talk to you about this morning. When we learn to evolve, when we are evolving spiritually, we are always working with the Spirit in our lives. We are identifying with the Spirit. We are going to the Spirit for our nourishment. And we are truly recognizing that God is the source of everything in our lives, because it's really not out there. It comes from within us. So that's really what I'm speaking to you about, this idea of evolving spiritually. You know, for some people, there are people all over the world, and there's all kinds of teachings. People claim enlightenment. You know, there's something called enlightenment. And some people believe that when you are enlightened, something changes, something happens. I don't know. I don't consider myself enlightened, but there are people on the planet that are enlightened. And some people of enlightenment is not to sit in meditation all day and stare at your navel. That is not my idea of enlightenment. Some people do, and fine for them. But we are in the world. We are in the world. Live with ourselves in this world. It is challenging. It is challenging. So I have some points of interest for you that I want to go over with you. And I think they're very, very interesting. The first one is spiritual identification. You see, we identify with so many things. We turn on the news and we get, right? We have to take time to quiet ourselves. I've said this so many times. But I meditate each and every morning, and if there's a day that goes by when I don't meditate, I feel very differently throughout my day. Someone told me this morning that when they meditate, sometimes they go to sleep. And I said, just let that be okay. Don't stop meditating because you go to sleep. Let it be okay. But just quiet your mind. In this world that we are living in, we need to learn how to quiet our minds, you see? Because when you can quiet your mind, then you can listen to that still small voice that is within you. And you can hear that voice. And you can know that with that voice is guiding and directing you, whatever it is that you are going through in your life. And we all go through challenges, each and every one of us, including myself. So when you have this identification with Spirit, it begins to change you. It begins to allow you to be a part of something greater than yourself. This is the spiritual evolution that I am talking about. So we practice. We practice prayer. We practice our prayer each and every day. We get still within ourselves, and then we practice the presence in the form of prayer. And you're learning that from Barbara and Fanny in the Power of Your Word workshop. Your word has power. I want to share something else with you this morning, and it's called watch your language, you see? And I'm not talking about cursing or using different kinds of words. I'm talking about the language that you are using is very important. I had someone come over to my home this week to help me with the bookkeeping for the center. Her name is Denise. She's been here several times. And unfortunately, her car was rear-ended, so she had a little bit of a dent in the back of her car. She was really upset. I don't blame her. But what she said was very interesting. As we went outside, she said to me, you know, Loretta, every time I get a new car, it never fails that somebody hits me. Watch your language. That is a part of the power of your word, and we all get into this, but if you catch yourself saying that something is bound to happen to you over and over and over again, let go of that as an idea. Now that sounds rather simple, but that's evolution. That's really evolution. You are evolving as you begin to change your mind from the human, rational, logical mind to the spiritual mind. Because the spiritual mind is always giving us fresh new ideas and blessing us. And it doesn't want us to stay stuck in the human mind where you think you're going to experience something over and over again. You see? It's the same thing with everything in our lives, whether it be relationships, prosperity. Watch your language. Begin to evolve your language. Ask Spirit for help with this. Go to Spirit and get the help that you need to change your language. You see? I catch myself all of the time. Anybody else in here do that? Yes. It's good because of what you are saying and what you are thinking. You see? So because something happened to you once, doesn't mean that it has. In that moment was, you are to stop thinking that way and say, this is never going to happen to me again. Now, some people out there would say, well, what difference does that make? It could happen anyway. That's not the point. What you become clear about becomes your own reality. You see? This is really what evolution is all about. It is about evolving on a level you can begin to change situations in your life, where you can go from good to greater good. You can experience that peace and that presence. And the other thing that I want to talk to you about this morning is the idea of action items. And I wrote this down. How many people in here do something every day to help themselves with their treatment? Like an action item, that's what I call it. Some of you do, some of you don't. That's okay. It's all good. It's all okay. That's another thing. Just let where you are be okay. I was talking about the word acceptance. And I said, you have to learn how to accept. And the person said to me, well, look at the world. I'm not taking on the world right now. You know? You can't do that. You have to just go within and know that you can change. And people that come before you, you can work with them, you can help them, you can practice kindness to other people. We can't take on. Let me know how you made out with it. I'd be interested. You cannot do that. It doesn't work. You have to just keep working with yourself, with your own spiritual ideas, nourishing yourself, blessing yourself. So getting back to this idea of action items. So what I've begun to do is this whole practice of praying. I pray, I meditate, and then I write down, and this is a very practical lesson this morning, 2 or 3 things that I may need help with during the day. And I write them down as action items, and I include them in my prayers. Now, what could that action item be? Maybe you need to contact someone. Maybe you need to work on something. I had clutter on my table. I don't like clutter. And I had some clutter on my table, and I have a really nice glass top table. And there was clutter on there because I didn't put things away. So I put my list, I prayed about it, and by the end of the day, the clutter was gone. I can make a lot of excuses. Can anybody identify with that? Yes. We can make the excuses, and we can also change things by writing down your action items. something that you're doing in your career, something that you're working on. It could be something as little as clearing out some of the clutter in your home. Anything at all. Add it onto your action item list or your plan for the day. Maybe it's something with your health and well-being. Area, and then do your treatment work. And what I did was I wrote down 3 or 4 items, action items, and I treated. I didn't treat about each one. I just treated. I would complete each. See? You could be going through something emotionally where you need some help. Okay? Write that down. I need to be guided to something. I need to know what the next step is. Write it down. And then you'll make it happen by doing your prayer work, by co-creating with Spirit. To me, that's what evolution is all about. Evolution is when you are evolving spiritually and you are not allowing your human mind to keep you from doing something that you would like to do. You are moving forward in spite of the human, rational, logical mind. When I treat for people, I hear all kinds of reasons why they can't do something. Yes? We all do that. I can't do that. There are many reasons and we have to go beyond them. So take a simple step and begin to do your prayer work, do your meditation, and write down call them action items, goals, whatever they are. A more peaceful environment at work. So if you want that, you write it down. You don't say, well, this could never happen, because when you work for something in your mind, you see what you're doing? You're building a case for that. And you have to let go of that, and you have to get a new idea and work with that and write it down and treat about it. Treat about your action, and that will help you to evolve. Whatever the situation may be. This is really what spiritual evolution is all about. What will you bring in? Let's take a goal and let's use career as a goal. If you are looking for something in your career, or many of you here who may be looking for a new career, or you may want something different, it all starts with a single step. I always say that. Everything starts with a single step. The way you wake up in the morning and the way you plan your day. Because days become weeks and months and years, you see. So if you are willing to pray about something, to take that first step, to make the contacts, to call someone. Someone who I was working with told me that they wanted to be more successful in real estate. And I gave them a suggestion. And 4 weeks went by and they still didn't do anything at all about any of it. You see, we have to take the steps, the action steps or the action items. We have to pray about it, whatever it is. Maybe it's a relationship that you're having that's not going so well. Do you want to keep it that way, or do you want to change it? You have to be honest with yourself, you see. Do you want to keep that relationship that's creating challenge, or do you want to change it? If you want to change it, even if you want to release it and let it go, write it down and ask Spirit to help you to take the steps that you need to move through something, whatever that may be for you. And how about prosperity? A lot of people have issues around prosperity. Prosperity is not only money, prosperity is your health and your well-being. Taking steps each and every day toward prosperity. I started working recently. I've been learning a little bit about the stock market. And it's a little crazy, up, down, in between. But there's so many people out there that are making a lot of money in the stock market. Why couldn't we do this, you know? So I set up my own account, yes, and I put some money in, and the money went up. And you know what? I didn't even get upset about it. You know, for me, that's evolution. That if I trust the power of the Spirit, that I am being guided, and that I'm learning a lot too. I'm learning how to do these things, and it's kind of fun. It's something different. That's the way all of us can be, whatever it is that you want to learn about. Check out your judgment. Check out your judgment. Whatever you judge in another person, that comes back to you. If you think, you know, I hear people all the time, like someone was telling me about Joel Osteen, and I've spoken about this. Oh, he has so much money. He has so much money. Good for him. You know, it's a good thing. Money is God in action. We have to get that idea in mind. Even Charles Barker spoke about that all of the time. Money is God in action. I know people who have a lot of money and they're very good people. I know people who have a lot of money and they're not such. It's the same with poor. It's everybody. It's what you do. Tony Robbins said something very interesting about money. He said, if you're a good person, money will make you even kinder, even better, even more generous. And if you're not such a good person, that will also become magnified. Money magnifies us to be our best, to do our best, to give our best. Giving. Money is God in action, you see? If you're building a case against money, you're not going to win. If you're always saying, well, this person has too much money or whatever, money is God in action. So if you would like to create some more money in your life, what are you doing? Back talking about all the people that have so much money. Look at them. They have so much money. They don't know what it's like to suffer. Money does not end. The point that I'm making is create some action items in your day to make some changes in your life. That's evolution. You see? It was Albert Einstein who said doing the same thing over and over again and expecting another result. So you have to do something differently. Step out and do something differently. Create something new in your world. Take a chance. Show up for something else. I was watching one of the Housewives series, and it was very interesting. One of the housewives was saying she is going to everything she gets invited to because there'll come a day when she won't get invited anymore. I thought that was very interesting. So she's going to everything that she gets an invitation to because one day she won't get any invitations. So we have to know that we're always being invited. There's always opportunities. There's so much good in this world. I was just watching something. This is off the lesson a little. Jane, I was sharing that this morning. I never really watched him that much. But he was really magical in some of his interviews and the way that he was with people, and he enjoyed it. And you could just feel the comfort with him when he was with other people. He was very comfortable all over the world. He had a gift. You have a gift too. But it is what you are doing with that gift that is so important. What are you willing to do for yourself that may be a little bit different? Go out of the box, so to speak. Think out of the box. That is really what I'd like you to try this week. I'd like you to write down some action items. Think of some things that you would like to do. Maybe you'd like to travel somewhere. So do something for yourself to make that your reality. Maybe you want to stop being so fearful about what's going to happen when I do this. How many people do that one? Just a few of you. Okay. What's going to happen when I do this? What's going to happen when I do that? Just begin to trust the power. Begin to think a little differently. And begin to become more creative. Your creativity is so important. Whatever you are doing in your life, whether it be in a relationship, whatever it is, let go of the fear and know that there's a gift in it. I can remember when I was younger, not so long ago, and I remember that, I was married, I was not in a good marriage, and I had to get out of it. And it was very challenging. It wasn't easy. I had a little boy to take care of. I'd become a single parent. And I remember the words I said, and these are the words that I'm saying this morning. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. For all of you or any of you who would like to do something different in your life, you just need to take that step and move out. But you have something that will help you, something within you. I didn't know that at that time. I didn't have the teaching. I just ventured out, and I'm very grateful that I did because there were so many gifts that were given to me. I think of Louise Hay. Louise Hay spoke about a marriage that she had. She was married to a gentleman for 15 years at the White House sometimes. And Louise Hay had this 15-year marriage, and then her husband, younger, and wanted a divorce. And people used to say to her, Louise, aren't you bitter about that? And you know what she said? She said, my former husband made me who I am today. You see? So she actually gave credit to him because I am today had I tried to stay in that relationship or had I been bitter about it. I had to let go of that and begin to form a new idea. Began this teaching, and this teaching changed her life, as it has changed millions of people's lives all over the world. And sometimes you may sit here and think, well, things aren't really changing that much in my life. But sometimes when you look back a couple of years ago and you see the progress backward, that's Stuart Grayson. He used to say that all the time. But all of us as spiritual thinkers are always moving forward. Us. That is a co-creator. It created us out of itself, and it needs to bless us. And we need to become better receivers. Catherine Ponder speaks about this. Becoming a better receiver, having that identification with the spirit within you, and allowing it to open you and to move out into. Right now, we are not only living with, whether we realize it or not, and that's why it's so important to create this spiritual practice every day, to begin your prayer work, write down items. What will you do differently that will help you? If you want to stay in the or you stay in it. If you want to get out of it, just work with these ideas. Take some of the workshops here. This workshop this afternoon on the power of your word. Your word is always demonstrating. You see, when that young lady, Denise, said to me, every time I get a new car, it gets hit. Saying to the, you have to watch your words, watch your thinking. And you have to ask to be guided every day. Every day I say the following words. I ask for and receive divine guidance. Let's say that together. Ask for and receive divine guidance. The more you say that, the more you will believe it, and the more then you will act upon it. I act on this idea every day. And what I have learned from all of the work that I have done is that if I have a simple formula or some kind of a system that works for me every day, I am very grateful. For me, that is evolution. That is truly evolution. When you are evolving, you are making the changes necessary, and sometimes you can't see them. The way the treatment was read and the reading was read this morning, the visible. We are changing things. The way that you are thinking, you are always creating. Watch your language. If you catch yourself saying something, correct your language. Make a new choice about it. Become a co-creator with God. Spirit is always creating for you. Spirit wants to give to you. So you treat for right action. Write down the action items to treat for them. Treat. Some people say they'd like to become enlightened. I don't know what that means. I've never been enlightened. I know that there's this thing that says, what is it? Chop water and carry wood. When you're enlightened, whether you're enlightened or not, you still carry the water and chop the wood. Did I mess that up? Probably. That's okay. It's all good, right? But the reason I'm saying all of this is because I really feel that enlightenment comes from being able to do things differently, you see. That group think out there. You have to compliment yourself for not being a part of that. You should compliment yourself every day. We're not a part of the group thinking here. We have a new way of thinking. And yes, the world will catch on. You know, Ernest Holmes said many years ago that when the leaders of our country become aligned with the power that is within them, everything will begin to change. And that's not just for this country. That's for all countries in the world. All countries in the world. When everyone begins to align with the power within them, the power within them aligns them and creates a better way of thinking, a spiritualized thinking. You are already here with that. You already have this information. What will you do with it? You see? That's the challenge for you. Yes, we have challenges every single day. but what we do with them makes a difference. If you begin to write down some action items and then treat about them. I want to do a treatment right now for each and every person in this room. I'd like you to think about what I've spoken about with regard to action items. And I want you to think about writing down some action items. So maybe there's something in here that you would like to demonstrate. And if you would like to demonstrate something, I want you to think about that. And then I'm going to do a spiritual mind treatment for each and every one of you. So think about what it is that you would like to demonstrate. Get an idea in your mind and think of something that you can do for yourself on a daily basis. I'm going to treat for you now in whatever area that you have thought about that, and let's know this truth together. Through the power of this word spoken right now for each and every person in this room, I am knowing, understanding, and completely accepting that each person in this room is a clear center of consciousness within an infinite principle of consciousness, through which and by which that principle is now flowing on a pattern of divine order and perfect right action. Each person here, through this deeper and deepened connection to God, to Spirit, to the Holy One, is filled with the blessings, filled with the Spirit, more connected than ever before, and is moving out into life with new ideas about himself or herself, to write down action items, to begin to practice the presence, to begin to have a daily presence practice, which enlightens them, which allows them to evolve spiritually, which allows them to be so blessed by the Spirit within that they move out into life in a new direction, with more clarity, more joy, and more inspiration. Each person in this room benefits from this word. Each person in this room is a co-creator with Spirit, and they get more clarity about this idea. This idea enriches them. They have greater health, greater wealth, greater creativity and self-expression, and more loving, harmonious relationships. Any thought patterns that would say no to this are hereby uprooted, neutralized, and dissolved. And each person here is a living, loving part of God, moving forward, onward, and upward in consciousness, becoming a wonderful, wonderful demonstration. Demonstrations are being made for each and every one as they recognize the opportunities in their lives and they act upon them. All is well. This word is the truth. And with love and gratitude for the wonderful way that Spirit is at work in each one's life, I simply say thank you and place this word into the law with love and gratitude, knowing it is done. So be it, and together we say, and so it is, and that is the way it is. And so what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to take this with you, this lesson this morning, and do something different this week. I've been talking about this year. Instead of just collecting information, take the information and act upon it. Practice it. Write down some action items. Pray about them. If you have 2 or 3 items on your list, pray that God is guiding you within yourself so that you are a part of Spirit and you are receiving divine guidance. And every opportunity is blessing, uplifting, and inspiring. You are empowered from within to move out into life in a new direction, to co-create with the Spirit of life. And that's the truth. And I am very, very grateful for the evolution that is happening for each and every one of you. Practice the presence, practice the principles of life, and know that you are divinely guided in all areas. It's such a blessing to practice it and begin to love yourself more and more each and every day. Okay? And with that I say, and so ends our lesson. Thank you. Okay, music from Yoichi and Ashira.
help me right here, because I get so into the songs that sometimes you know that the words starts falling away. What's the first line, guys? You guys know. No, give me the first line so we go back. We'll crumble into the sea. But what tumbles and falls first? Come on, give me the words. First line. No, we did them when the night has come. We came out of the darkness now. Where are we now? What? How everyone does not know this Ben E. King song? That is a problem. How is that so? How am I the only? And I'm not even singing the whole song the whole time. You're right, because I do that all the time sometimes. I do. All right, let's go back. So let's go back to it together. Stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. When the light the sky we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountains crumble to the sea. Yeah. I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Verse one more time. Stand by me, stand by me, stand by me. Go ahead, Barbara. When the sky we look upon should crumble and fall, and the mountains will crumble to the sea. Y'all got it. I won't cry. Oh, I won't. Just as long. Stand by me to say it out. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by. Oh, won't you stand by me? Stand by me. Oh, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Stand by me, stand by me, just stand by me. Stand by me, stand by me, stand by me, stand by me. Stand by me, stand by me, stand by me. All right.
Energy, feeling better and